Hi everybody, I'm Sirisha. I work with Amazon. I moved to Germany from India in 2022. Um, it's been like less than 2 years in Germany and born and raised in Hyderabad. So it's been quite a culture shift for me to move here. But yeah, that's me.
What was one of the biggest culture shocks that you experienced after moving?
Yeah, the biggest culture shock is the language. So I am not very proficient in language. Vis-a-vis my husband who moved for the student as a student, so he learned the language before coming to the land. So it's really difficult. It's like going back. um, you know how in villages people who are not very educated take the letters to the most educated
Yeah.
person and ask them to read. It's like that. Every time a letter comes in German, I take it to my husband, like, can you please interpret this for me? And I take him along everywhere I go. Like, be my interpreter. What is she saying? What is he saying? So that's the most like culture shock for me. Um, yeah. And there are like a billion other things when you are in this side of the world as to how they function versus how US and India function. US and India is like very hustle culture. Let's hustle. Let's get things done now. 10 p.m. it's okay. We're gonna log out after it's done. But here, like after 5 p.m., it's like I don't care if the company is burning down, but I'm gonna go home.
That must be so refreshing for you, no? After working like mad donkey hours here. Hmm.
It really is, yes.
What is one typically German habit that you've picked up ever since you moved there?
Um, Germany has a lot of rules. How you throw trash, how you segregate trash, how you there is like a no sound time from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., which is there in a lot of European countries. In German, it's called Ruhezeit, meaning silent hours. And you also have a silent day, which is Sunday, where all your grocery shops, everything is closed. So that's like the most German thing coming from India, right? In India, if you order like a pizza at 2 a.m., it shows up at your door in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But in Germany, if you're hungry at 2 a.m.,
Cool.
you might as well stay hungry until 7 a.m. the next morning. So I started waking up at 7 a.m. I started going to sleep at 10 p.m. That's the most German thing that I did. It does make me sound old when I say it out loud, but I think that's the first adaptation of me becoming German.
Wow, because I do remember you literally sleep like once, like graveyard hours, like around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and sometimes 4 a.m.
Yeah, as should all young people. Uh, but yeah, I started sleeping at 10 p.m. sharp, and oh god, that's the like I think about it and like, have I become German? I eat dinner at 7:30. Is there something wrong with me? Did I become old? Like, what's wrong with me?
Are you able to adjust to the Indian way of living when you visit?
Difficult. I've been to India only once after I came to Germany, and I hate all the sounds. So here in Germany, as you can hear, there's no background sound.
Yeah.
It's like silent, dead silent.
Hmm.
But in India, on the roads, you hear dogs barking, you hear Anekmal, you
Yeah,
hear
didn't you hear
Palapura.
like
You-
the guy selling onions?
construction. I can't bear it. It's like, can somebody please stop this
Yeah, I
sound?
think once you taste that, like once you've experienced it, that quiet is really precious.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand that. I understand that. I can imagine. What is work like apart from this one aspect in general work culture, if you would compare India's work culture to Germans, is there anything at all that you would take from India and apply it to the German work culture?
You don't have work friends. So I think learned a lot about boundaries and having right verbiage for your colleagues. You have work friends, which is like the best thing that you look forward to going to work, travel 1.5 hours to go to work every day in India. But here, you don't have that culture. You don't have like where everybody sits on a table, shares a meal.
Yeah.
Um, that's another thing. Even if you go to restaurants as colleagues or as friends or as acquaintances, you don't share each other's meal. So you order your meal, I order my meal.
Yeah.
So probably that's like a couple of things that I would like to probably amalgamate in this culture.
Tell me about the perks of living in Germany.
Perks of living in Germany when you compare with the US or India is you drive 4 hours and you're in a new country. You're in a new landscape. You get to eat new food. Like 4 hours from Frankfurt is Paris. 4 hours down south is like Amsterdam. So you get to hear new language. So that's something that I love. It's like all the bucket list that you had from your childhood to check. It's easier to do. Like you have a long weekend and you can accomplish like one country bucket list. So that's something that I really, really love.
And ever since you moved, when did you move again?
2022 September.
22 September.
Oh, 23 September. Sorry, 23 September.
Okay, so since then, how many new places have you been to?
I think like full-fledged, I traveled last year, like around 10 countries, I think, in 1 year.
Wow. Wow. And would
And
you
that's
want to-
and that's easy. You can do 2 countries like in a long weekend. So
So let's hear the list. What are the 10 countries you've been to?
okay, that's difficult. I've been to France, I've been to Netherlands, I've been to Czech Republic, I've been to United Kingdom, I've been to Italy, I've been to Spain. Oh, you're counting? I've been to Belgium, I've been to Switzerland. Did I say 8? Oh, I have to say 2 more.
2 more.
I've
Did you
been
travel?
to Croatia. I've been to Croatia. I don't know. I give up. I've been to Germany.
Number of countries you've traveled to, you cannot even name the list, and that's just in 1 year. Wow.
Yeah, that's just 1 year.
And would you be able to do that if you were, say, living in India or US or Canada or Australia?
You could. It's more like it's expensive for you to travel halfway across the world.
Yeah.
If you would, you can do it. But having a Schengen visa and having like, you don't have to apply for visa so many times every time you wish to travel. You can travel 27 countries with the visa that you have. And you also have visa on arrival for a lot of countries when you have a Schengen visa or a work permit. So that just makes like the documentation of visa process much more easier when you want to be a tourist or a traveler and travel across the world.
So how was the visa process like for you when you moved from India? What visa did you go on? Do you mind talking about that?
Yeah, I think one thing that I came to terms with is the documentation that Europe has. It has the need for a lot of paper trail, a lot of documentation, a lot of persistence, a lot of patience. So these are the 3 P's that I came to terms with: paperwork, persistence, and patience. So when I applied for a long-term visa, it took like 2.5 months. There have been, or I have heard of scenarios where it takes like up to 6 months for you to get a visa after you submit your paperwork. This I'm talking from a long-term visa perspective. It is different when you apply for a tourist visa. Lot of paperwork that you need, especially when you're married or when you're working. And like I said, a lot of German translation of documents would be needed because it's a different language and it's different for different countries if you're applying for any of the other EU5 or any of the other European countries. You need to be diligent on what checklist they give and just go according to the checklist. Because it takes so much more time for you to even get an appointment. So when you get an appointment date for your visa, just be diligent through your paperwork.
Okay. Is it is it a more lengthier process for tourist visa, or is it shorter than the long-term visa?
It is shorter. You get your tourist visa within 15 days versus a long-term visa might take up to 3 months or 6 months if there is a there's a litigation involved with your paperwork or if they see something's wrong. But tourist visa is fairly easier, also because the duration of tourist visa that you get is only for a month, versus long term you can stay as much as you want. So.
Okay. So, say you were to give someone who's hoping to travel a checklist. So, what would the checklist be?
The application form, make sure your passport is valid for the next 6 months. Make sure you have a biometric photo according to the German requirements. It's different for US, India, and Europe. Make sure you have all your pay slips, your bank balance, you have minimum bank account. Make sure you have your assets that proves that you will and are willing to come back to India. Make sure you have permission from your employer that it is okay for you to travel to Europe and you're not going to work from.
Okay, that is a long checklist. You said
it is a long. It's a big bundle of a notebook.
Tell me one thing amidst all of this during the time that you've started to work there and go out, meet friends. Your husband speaks the language, but you don't. So what is one thing that got lost in translation? Did you ever have a moment like that? You were trying to say something or they were trying to say something and it just did not land?
Most of the times I'm self-aware and I'm like, no, I don't know this language. I need help. Just somebody help me. Or I'm more like sprechen Sie English bitte? So it's like, do you speak English? I just go with that. That's my first sentence. First thing that I learned how to order is the coffee in Starbucks, which is the basic. Can't get through the day without that. So I can order a coffee perfectly in German. So I didn't have a problem or I didn't need to use German elsewhere. If I see the need
German,
einen Kaffee Latte mit Mandelmilch bitte.
Wow.
So one Kaffee Latte with almond milk, please.
How long did it take you to learn that?
Day one, because I know that's something that I
can't do without.
The most German thing that I can do, like on a German call, is to wear.
Is it like a thing?
Germans
they just wear black a lot?
Yeah, and they kind of, I don't know why, they kind of are scared of colors. Like even if you have like a pop of colors, like, oh, you're wearing color today, something special. Like, it's just the color. Like, I think it's normal. Like we have other colors in the world.
Black is not for mourning for them. It's a happy color.
I just don't know. They just love black. Yeah.
When you talk about wearing black, I know you're someone who's very big on accessories. So is that extra in German or is it?
Yes.
Okay. So you're extra in German.
Yes. Yes, I'm very extra. People like they wear dainty stuff. Like they don't wear accessories. And they wear black, they wear their jeans, they wear their sneakers. I'm big on heels, and I know that you cannot wear heels in this country because you have to walk 10,000 steps and it's impossible. So yeah, those are some things that I do miss, I guess.
Do you get asked when you dress a certain way, whether not just in an Indian attire, say you dress a certain way that is considered extra, do you get asked anything about the Indian culture, or if people in India, if this is how they dress to work or anything like that?
I get asked if I wear too much color or some print, or if it's, so these guys, so they have specific, like they wear red during Christmas and then the red's off their wardrobe, and they wear all of these prints during spring just to tell that they're bringing in spring. And I love to wear prints. And you don't have Indian attire without prints. We're all about prints. So whenever I dress up for the Sera or when I'm going for temple, I do get a lot of looks from Germans. But yeah, they don't ask because they're less on talking. They don't talk to you, but they just probably look and like. Yeah.
But is it as friendly? Because the countries I've been to, I've not been to Germany, but are the highs, hellos, pleasantries exchanged with strangers? Or?
Yes. Yes.
That's there.
Yes. When you walk on the road, you say hello, which is the most basic. People respond back to hello. You say schönen Tag, like have a good day. In German, that's very common. People are friendly, especially the place that I live in. There are a lot of English-speaking people, and they do understand. When you're an Indian, probably you don't know German, so my neighbor speaks in German with my husband and English with me, and he learned English to communicate with me. So that's something that I really, really do appreciate.
And I know you're a vegetarian, so what are the vegetarian options there like? And did you find any good Indian restaurants?
Yes. I feel a lot of Europe, especially Germany and France, is moving towards veganism. So if you are somebody who eats soy or mushrooms, you do have a lot of vegetarian options. You do have a lot of chicken replacements in vegetarian, even in the supermarket. So it's really easy if you want to eat vegetarian food. Sorry, I think I lost the track of what was your next question. Indian restaurants.
Indian restaurants, yeah.
Yes. There are a lot of Indian restaurants. For me, what tops is there is Sarvana Bhavan. So whenever you want to, like a South Indian in me craves that idli, dosa, pongal, you go there, you have it. You don't have to worry. And there are a lot of North Indian restaurants that you can go eat your naan, your biryani, paneer butter masala. And there is one Hyderabad joint that we found. So my husband and I sells one of the best Hyderabadi biryanis, authentic. It is not with kishmish, all of those badam and all of those jazz.
I want to believe you.
Yes, it is authentic. So we love it.
What is this place called?
It is called Biryani Adda.
Biryani Adda in Germany.
In Frankfurt. Yes, and even Berlin, because Berlin is the capital city, you have great options, food options there as well.
What is one German chain that you really learn to love?
German?
Is there a food chain? Yeah, any food chain, a German food chain that you really liked?
I don't know. I don't think I love a lot of German food. If you're a big...
What's German food like? What is the cuisine like?
Yeah, German food, I think 80% is dependent on currywurst. Currywurst is like chicken sausage, and apparently they make it better than the rest of the sausages in the world. So if you're a chicken sausage lover, then probably Germany is your place. And also pretzels. I'm not a huge fan of pretzels. So I'm not a huge fan of three big things that Germany mass produces: pretzels, beers, and currywurst.
What are you doing there, Sirisha? Why? Why are you not accepting Germany for what it is?
So,
but okay, say so for an Indian tourist, it's fun. It's easy to find vegetarian options. It's easy to find desi food, and also for Hyderabadis, biryani is there in Frankfurt. You said. Okay, so okay, let's do a rapid fire. Are there a lot of Indians? Are there a lot of Indian communities where you live?
There are a lot of Indian communities in clusters. Maybe you won't find them spread across Germany. So there is a place called Stuttgart where you'll find a lot of Indian people. So the place where I stay, Frankfurt, the other side of the Frankfurt is Darmstadt. You will find a lot of Telugu-speaking people there. You also have Magdeburg, a lot of Indian communities. In Berlin, Indian communities. So there are clusters. In Frankfurt also, we have an Indian community. We have Indian festivals. They celebrate. Even in Kronberg, I'm part of a WhatsApp group called Indians in Kronberg. So we can make use of a lot of these Facebook pages, which starts Indians in Frankfurt, Indians in Berlin. That's kind of a great community building page, and you can get to know each other. They also help Indians if they have any questions. So yeah, I do see community building in the last, I'm learning from my husband, so he says this started from last 5 years. So yeah, I see a lot of Indians around.
Okay. Do you have what advice would you give someone who's coming to Germany to work or to study?
Learn German. That will be like a great starting point if you are at least able to converse in day to day. If you know your numbers, your alphabets, or like basic German, like an A1, that would be really helpful in making friends, and in also understanding what they're seeing, reading your own letters if you don't have an interpreter. Most of the German government offices speak German, so that's really helpful. And like I said, your 3 Ps, you should be ready with that. Your paperwork, your persistence and patience, have a lot of it. It's a lengthy process, and for you to get an appointment, it takes probably a month or two. So just need to hang in there.
Of all the places that you visited in the past 1 year, which is 10 different countries, I don't know a lot of people who can actually say that I visited 10 countries in 1 year. So if you were to move to one of these places, which country would you move to and why?
I think Italy, Florence, especially Florence. It is a perfect mix of, you know how they show in reels, like all men and women are dressed to the nines and they are in their suits, they are in their power dressing mode.
Yeah.
Florence is all that, and Italian men do look good, and Italian food like is the best in the world. I would move to Florence. It's a perfect amalgamation of medieval and modern.
Oh,
You
wow.
go one side of the city, it's like medieval architecture, medieval roads and cobblestones, and you come to the other side of the city, everybody is like corporate and wearing Prada and stuff like that. Yeah, it's lovely. I also wanted to tell that people should be prepared in terms of life skills when they come to this side of the country. Mostly people are prepared from their job wise, their paperwork wise, their graduation or their studies. But what they do not think a lot of times is when you're moving alone as a student or for work, there is a lot of stuff or mental toll that it takes when you're moving away from your family and friends. You're moving to a new place where you don't know a language. You have to do everything from scratch. You have to do all your work by yourself, your laundry, your dishes, your cooking. Wake up. Nobody is there to help you. Like you have a support system at home. Probably your mom makes your lunch box and give you. You have to do that by yourself. So it does take a lot of mental toll initially, but you have to find your anchor, and always think about why you moved away from home and what is it that you're trying to achieve.
Okay, you spoke about how it impacts your overall health and mental health, your life schedule. It basically changes a lot, right? So, see, what I've learned your work has like a major impact on your mental health, right? Like that's something that I've understood. And now that you do not work in India and it's a very different work culture, has that improved? Like, has that contributed to improve your mental health in any way, or?
It does. What I mean is, you have a 9 to 6 and you know this is your schedule, and it's not like somebody's calling you after your 6 p.m. Something that I love here is they don't care what your WhatsApp number is or what your phone number is. They just bother about your work. And you can choose to not have your work applications on your phone, and it's totally okay. It's not like somebody's pushing you to work all the time on your weekends, on your vacations. When you say I'm off, people do respect that boundary, and that's something that will help you do all the more things that you want to do apart from work, in terms of maybe your career aspiration, maybe your home chores, or maybe you want to pursue a new passion of yours. So you have that much more time. It's on you on how you want to use that time. So yeah, it does help positively, and it also kind of, for me, it had the opposite effect. I had a lot of imposter syndrome when I moved here, because it was too much for me when I moved into work and nobody would speak to me, versus I had like entire office knows me when I was working back in India.
Yeah.
So it does kind of have those effects. Like I said, you have to find your strong anchors, and every time you want to give up, you have to remind yourself what makes you stay here.
So now, would you say that you have nobody has work friends, it's just work colleagues? Like no, or have you not been able to make that bond, or do people like consciously keep those boundaries?
People consciously keep those boundaries, and I now know why. Like, you have colleagues 9 to 6, people who don't remind you of work after 6,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
You don't have office drama. You don't have people that you're not talking to or you don't want to talk to. Everybody is nice. They're acquaintance. They say hi, hello. Probably you schedule an appointment with them to have lunch. Great. You come home and then you talk to your friends. That's amazing. You have neighbors, you have acquaintances. So I've learned a lot of new definitions of boundaries, of how you can place people around circles within you, and there's a reason why.